Здравствуй, Nihama, Hola, and Prinanda. Uh, Hello, good evening, and welcome once again for the 12th time to Councillor James Ball's weekly UK lockdown vlog, video ramble, boredom, whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is, it's completely off the top of my head, nothing prepared as usual. And once again, I will try my best to keep this under half an hour, hopefully under 20 minutes. So much, probably what I'm doing is so much comes into my head that sort of, things are firing, neurons are firing, and lots of different things are getting connected. And you have to forgive me, I'm 2 months, almost, this Saturday I'll be 2 months off of my 46th birthday. 46. I can't believe it. So I am not so slowly becoming an old man, and the stuff up here, the old grey cells, as Hercule Poirot famously calls them, aren't, well, they're not as numerous as they used to be, and they're not as fast as they used to be. They can't, I don't know, I was going to say they can't run as fast, but I don't know what, scientifically that's probably complete nonsense, but certainly dying off probably faster than they're being recreated, happens to all of us, doesn't it? So yeah, this is the week 12 UK lockdown vlog review from up here in sunny Rhyl, North Wales. It is Monday evening, so it is exactly 12 weeks to the day, almost to the hour, the witching hour, the Bojo hour, where he came on telly and told us all we're all going to have to stay in and not see anybody, and all the fun stuff we've been going through, which increasingly, the more I look out my window, I see a lot less people going through. And I came to a realisation this week. I know in the previous videos I've been saying some people have been ignoring the whole social distancing lockdown from the off, but then a lot of people were and just seem to have stopped here in Wales, and there's all the confusing, information. But I've realised a lot of people here in Wales, I just don't think, because I was talking about this with some friends over a messenger chat yesterday on Sunday. I don't think a lot of people realise that there are different rules in Wales regarding the lockdown rules and social distancing. It falls under health. It's a health remit, basically, and each region's got its own, if it's devolved or semi-devolved, like Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, have their own health policies, their own health ministers. It's one of the devolved areas, along with education and things like that. So I don't think a lot of people here realise that, and a lot of people in Rhyl are from England, people who retired from England, people who just moved here like me back in the day. So it's actually very England, even the news and things is very England focused here, where we are, for a lot of people. So I don't think a lot of people realise that the stuff they're hearing from Boris Johnson and the UK government doesn't apply here. There's different rules here. So I think that clears up some of my confusion about why things just seem to just all of a sudden just lifted here, even though they haven't. That's not the official policy from the Welsh law that I was talking about last time. Welsh Labour, sorry, not Welsh law, sorry, Welsh, that sounds bad. Welsh government here, Welsh Labour, who had a bit of rant about last time, and their sort of pathetic handling, really, in many senses up here as well. But yeah, for me it's been a very not a great week, I must say, from when I shot the last week's video on, I think it's a Tuesday or Wednesday night then, so I was a bit late shooting, and it was later than this, it was approaching 10 o'clock I think. It's about, I think it's about, it's not 8 in the evening yet, the light's going down, sun's going down a bit. But yeah, last time I shot the video, took it down to my computer to transfer it from this, so I always shoot these on this little Kindle thing, that's all I've got really. Transfer it onto my main PC, so that I could upload it as fast as possible to YouTube and the channel and everything. Didn't have much time, which is why you might notice, might not have, that last week's video in the sort of list, in the playlist of the Lockdown COVID UK weekly reviews I've been doing, didn't have its own specially created thumbnail. I usually do, but I ran out of time at the time. I was going to do it later. Did that, uploaded it, did me sort of nightly chores of washing up and locking up and everything, turning the lights off and all that sort of stuff in the house. Came up to bed here. Did a few bits I had to do for union things and made sure I've sort of done things for that day. Always have a list during the day, probably like you, to make sure I've gone through the things people need to contact, things I need to do for all the different sort of things I'm doing at the minute, you know. Yeah, so by the time I knew it, it was almost 1 in the morning, which is not uncommon, unfortunately. I very rarely get to go to bed or get my head down before midnight anymore, which is a problem. Because I'm an early riser, you know. So I did all that, yeah. Got my head down at 1. Within minutes, because I felt absolutely fine, I felt great actually. Within minutes, I was having involuntary sort of shakes and shaking and shit. I just couldn't stop. I was like shaking. It was obviously a fever shake. I've had it before when I had the flu a few years back. Really, really the worst I've ever had. And I just thought, oh god, what's this? Went on for 3-4 hours, basically, well into sort of 4 or 5 in the morning. Immediately hit by horrendous stomach pains, then hit by projectile vomiting, basically, right through to sort of 6 in the morning. Just it's awful. I just felt awful, and it was awful. It was all at once. It was terrible, and so that was about almost a week ago. I'm still not quite right yet. I'm getting there slowly, but I'm not quite right. I should have exercised today. I've lost all my exercise last week, so I'm also trying to get fitter. That's had to stop. I wasn't able to do the thumbnail or any other stuff really, so it's all been a bit of a blur while I've tried to get back to myself really. But this is my second serious bout of illness during this 14 weeks of shielding, self-isolation for me. And I remember the morning of it, when the worst of it was over, when I actually stopped being physically sick, but just felt bloody awful because I had no sleep and all that happened at once, out of the blue, you know. And I was sitting there thinking, I was on my own the whole time. My family were asleep upstairs. I didn't know. I didn't want them to know I was being ill and that ill, because I didn't want them to lose sleep. You know, there's nothing they could do about it, was there? You know, I was waiting for it to pass. But I sat there sort of 6 in the morning thinking, in my sort of semi-conscious state, thinking, how? Because who have I got this off? I haven't been in contact with anybody for 13 weeks. You know, if I take posting or the food that's delivered, I religiously wash my hands, religiously sanitise my hands. It still doesn't make any sense how I've got it or where I've got it. I just don't understand. Looked at the symptoms later on that next day, I think it was. Classic norovirus, is it? It's apparently the most common sort of, triple threat, knock you for bleeding 6, nasty stomach bug. That's the worst I've ever had. I've had, obviously, in my life past, 46 over the years, I've had, being sick, and I've had the sort of the fever and the shivers with flu and things like that. And obviously I've had stomach pains and all that sort of stuff. But I've never had all of them at once like that, and so that was so sort of vicious the way it sort of got me. And again, within minutes, no warning, within minutes, it's happened. So that's really hit me for six. And of course, it wasn't that long since I had gotten over, again, something else that I got right at the beginning of this, which lasted about 6 weeks. In fact, one of the problems with that was my chest. Having problems with muck on my chest and things, which never completely went away. So anyway, which were all the mild symptoms of coronavirus. So I can't, without an antibody test, I'm not sure, but I'm bloody certain I've had it. To be honest, absolutely certain right at the beginning of this. But again, I shouldn't have, because 2-3 weeks, must have 3 weeks before the actual official lockdown, I was already going out. I had hand sanitizer on me everywhere, sanitising my hands all the time, washing my hands all the time, keeping my distance from people, being very careful about where I went. Didn't make sense. But so I've had 2 serious bouts now in 12 weeks of illness. Doesn't really make sense. But anyway, that's what happened. I'm still. My stomach now still. I've usually got a cast iron constitution. I can usually eat anything famously, and it doesn't bother me. Obviously, as I get older, like we all do, that changes slightly. I can't eat certain things. After like a spicy pizza or something, or pepperoni or something. It's not a good idea after sort of maybe 6 or 7 o'clock latest, because it keeps you up all night. Not as young as we used to be, are we? A lot of us. Certainly can't drink like I used to many years ago. I haven't really drunk for a long, long time. I mean, when I was younger. Excuse me. This is that chest thing I was talking about. When I was younger, me and my mates, especially me, couldn't afford to go to pubs or the local pub or stuff like that. So what we do is, if we had the money, we club together, get the cheap vodka, get the cheap, like bloody special brew and stuff like that. That was on offer, and we go over to their sort of bed sits or whatever, or sit on the little footbridges over the railway lines here, out of the way, and mix it all together and just drink it, which was, to be honest, absolutely sodding. It was not a good idea. Lethal. I won't get into the stuff that I ended up doing. I've thought about some of that stuff for a long time, but go on. Sorry. So since then, I haven't, and I remember the last time I was probably about maybe 21, 22, something like that. I go around to my mate's bed sit on the prom. They've all been pulled down now. They're old sort of flea pits by the council. This is back in the 90s. This was, and sort of mid 90s maybe. And from somewhere, him and his girlfriend, they got a bottle of Southern Comfort. Like a big bottle. I'd never heard of Southern Comfort. I didn't know what it was. I thought, what's this? Is it exotic? Don't like whiskey because it's very strong, tasting it. Tried that. I thought, this isn't whiskey, is it? This is, I don't know what it is, but it's smooth, easy drinking. So of course, as the night goes on, nothing else to do, I end up drinking, Christ, maybe 2/3 of the bottle to myself, the big bottle. I have to walk home. So of course, it's not, we're all walking back in those days. Same as now, really. I have to cross a main road at night. It's not well lit. To get back home, I was stumbling back. I have no idea how I got back home. Obviously, hit my bed. I think I was violently ill during the night. Got up the next day, and then for 3 days, I was. There's that bit where it's pleasant after your first drunk, it's pleasant and it's nice and it's, you're having the nice effects, and then all of a sudden you start getting the horrible feeling of being pissed, the bad hangover bit. Well, that happened really quickly and lasted for 3 days. For 3 days, I went for walks on the beach. I was desperate. I'm not religious. I was praying. I was absolutely praying. I was walking on the beach. I remember praying, please, I will do anything. Please, if you stop. And I was drunk. I'd poisoned myself. Looking back now, it's like a stupid thing, but I poisoned myself basically to the point where it was obviously not so great. I mean, I remember my same mate actually at the time. He'd gone to visit some of our well, not really my mates, but his mates on and another one of the flea bits, the sort of bed sits, ground floor ones, which had gone now, which was right on the promenade. Come out the front door, you walk over the road, the main road on the prom, and you're on the prom, you're on the beach. It's like a seawall sort of thing, small, well, he was there, and I was supposed to meet him there, which wasn't unusual, usual sort of thing. He was there before me, I was supposed to meet him sort of 10 in the morning, So I get there, and I walk in, and I say to all them, they're watching their bloody Roy Chubby Brown or something, as usual, video for the umpteenth time, sitting on this, ripped up rubbish, falling apart sofa sort of stuff. Where's my mate, where's his, I'm not going to say his name, but where's my mate? And they say, oh, he's in the bathroom. Now he's supposed to be meeting, his girlfriend's supposed to be turning up as well about this sort of time. Lovely, I can't remember, well, I remember her name, but lovely girl, really lovely girl. So I'm waiting. He doesn't come out of the bathroom. I knock, call his name, no response, and I'm thinking something's not up here. So I go in basically, and he's in the bath, and these bunch of have obviously been pouring nicked clear gin down him. He's obviously started drinking, they've just poured it down him thinking it's hilarious and left him there. This guy, this guy's barely breathing at this point. He can't speak, he can't, he's not responding really, hardly at all. At best grunts, or sort of based bare sound, Can't walk. So anyway, I realise there's a problem here. She turns up, and I think this is the early day of mobile phones, has a phone. She was a bit better off than us. Has a phone. Phones for the ambulance. Because I say, tell stuff happened. I give him a fireman's lift. Take him over the coast road, straight over to the beach and the wall, and dragged him really across the zebra crossing. People are sort of stopping in the cars. God knows what they thought was going on. I mean, it must look like a dead body. I'm trying to keep him conscious, and then when I get to the wall, I'm trying to make him be sick basically. She's panicking, his poor girlfriend and that stuff, Ambulance eventually gets there, but we were all stupid and young, weren't we? I mean, he was minutes from kaput, because you don't realise when you're young, this, especially the spirits, cheap spirits and that, you can kill yourself. I had friends back then, people I knew who'd done that. There was no one around, choked to death when they were semi-conscious. I can think of at least one stands out in my mind, and she was a young mum at the time. Lovely girl actually, but that's not the only story like that I could tell you from back in the my youthful misspent stupid days. But you're probably wondering why I told you that. Well, it leads me on to what I'm going to talk about really, which isn't connected with what's been going on again in this past week with all the continuing protests and stuff. Because here on Monday, excuse me, we got an events arena on the promenade, which was built originally back in the early 90s, because the Radio 1 Roadshow used to come here in the summer. As soon as they built it, it didn't come. So typical sort of council-y, really. But anyway, it's a very nice place, very underused. One of the complaints we get a lot as council is this place is not used enough. I don't have any power, unfortunately, to force things together, but I agree it's underused. But some young people, local young people, which is fantastic, put on an event which was like a sort of a Black Lives Matter anti-racism support event. So young people from all over came. I think there was about 600 people, something like that, maybe 500, I was told. Obviously I couldn't go, unfortunately. Some of my friends went. And yeah, it all went off well and great and everything. So it's even happening up here, in the usually, as far as events and things and being connected with the rest of the world and the rest of Britain, feels sometimes like we're sort of back of nowhere, you know. So I was quite surprised, and happily surprised, that people, especially young people, are that interested in doing something, you know. I mean, getting, you know, doing their own thing, which is great, fantastic. So yeah, being young in a poor town, a poor area of a city, a seaside town like this, out in the sticks in a, you know, village, country life. There's lots of poor people, poor young people that live out there with nothing to do, and really, you know. One of my favourite comedy shows of recent years on the BBC, but I do it's called This Country, which is just, so we sit in the Cotswolds in a village where two younger people, Kerry Mucklow and her cousin Curtin, have nothing better to do, and all the sort of stuff that is so funny. I really recommend you check it out. It's so funny. But you know, probably many of you watching this have been there. You know what it was like when you were younger. You got no money, nothing to do. Frustration sets in, as it is with people now, young people now. Yes, it started with the whole George Floyd thing. Obviously, racism, institutional racism, and all that sort of stuff, and inequalities and perceived inequalities, and all that sort of stuff. Of course, is all part of it. But as I said at the time, I think a few weeks back when it all started, it's very, very clear for a lot of people, especially a lot of younger people, who are disaffected, you know, like I was, still am really, cut off from the sort of norms of society, you know, and especially now without the sort of the general life opportunities that their parents maybe had, and grandparents and great-grandparents. There's a lot of talk in sociological circles, which I'm a part of now, for the past year or so, or more than that now, a few years, about this, the millennial generation, people born after the millennium or around the millennium, the time of the millennium, this generation being the first, generally this is of course the first not to expect to be better off, or at least on par or better off, slightly off, than their economically, life chances, what they call social capital, economic capital, and cultural capital wise, basically, than their parents, grandparents, basically since the end of the Second World War. Because the trend has been since the end of the Second World War, generally, that each generation has incrementally been sort of had more life chances, more social opportunities socially and in lifestyle, to sort of to live a better life. You know, buy cars, own your own house, go on holidays abroad, go on more than one holiday a year, own certain things, send your kids to university when you didn't go, be able to, all this sort of stuff. That's been the trend, basically. That sort of started to slow down. Almost, you can draw a correlation almost exactly when that started, and that was right at the end of the 1970s, from the beginning of the 80s on, which, I'm sorry, isn't probably a political view in an economical sense, in a social sense, and this sort of ability, or life chances, basically, corresponds with economic freedomism, Thatcherism, and Reaganomics, in the US and here. So that trend started to slow down then. Less people were getting the chances that their parents had, especially in working class communities, deindustrialisation, obviously all the sort of struggles with the unions, between the unions and the sort of Friedman free market, conservative, neoliberal sort of stuff, really. Labour Party suddenly, from that sort of point onwards, sort of Callaghan and Woods sort of veering to the centre and centre right, up to Tony Blair, and onwards. Excuse me. Very sorry. So we then reached the point, really, in the sort of turn of the millennium, where that slowed down and now started to reverse even. And of course, the last 10 years of shrinking the economies here, shrinking the state, should I say, with austerity and all of that, same in the US, has actually now started to completely reverse the chances of these younger people. So I get my impression is that's what this is now really more about, as a wider thing. Yes, it's about racism and injustice, long-standing problems in those areas that have, as I was saying today, been reported on, investigated and reported on many, many, many times by many committees, governmental committees, over the lives and periods of lots of different governments in the past. New Labour, then the coalition in various forms of Conservative government up to now. Now again today, I see Boris Johnson's said, which is obviously to sort of to grab the headlines and sort of deflect a bit from the COVID sort of catastrophe with testing and all that sort of stuff, tracing that, and the death figures, and all to sort of placate, or try and placate, I suppose, some people who are angry about all this, that there'll be another investigation, which is a bit, because they just tend to report but not actually follow up, which is a complaint. Been happening for decades, really. And I suppose I was thinking about all that. I was thinking, sort of relating it to my youth, my past as a young adult, and then the years on, and here I am still sitting in the same town, not far from where I was as a young adult, growing up, about to be 46, watching young people going through similar sorts of feelings and things at the moment, but on a greater scale. It's not just kids like I was, maybe you were, in the traditionally poorer parts of communities and parts of the country anyway. Now seems to be affecting many more people, maybe if you've got kids, grandchildren, maybe you're thinking, well, what the hell? I mean, I know we are with my sort of some of our younger family members. They're at college and things now. What the hell are they going to do for the next 5 years? Because it's just quite clear that economically, jobs-wise, opportunity-wise, the usual stuff is now going to become much, much scarcer, more difficult, more tenuous, even more than it was before. And if you're in a place like this anyway, it was already difficult. I mean, I hate to say this as a town councillor, but the reality has been for many years here that if you generally, not always, but generally, if you want to sort of have a career, a salaried career, you're going to have to leave the area, you know. That's not advice, that's what the reality has sort of been, really, you know. Me, I've been going through all these sort of 10 years on and off of going to university and things in the hope of it giving me sort of keys to the bus finally, really, you know, so that I get to get on the social mobility scooter, you know, with the keys and ride off to an actual career rather than just a minimum wage at best, tenuous part-time paying job if I'm lucky, which is what I've had all my whole life, or nothing, or the whole trying to find one. So yeah, it's been very interesting watching that happen. Obviously, I feel terrible for anyone going through it because, you know, like I say, I'm 46 soon. I spent my entire adult life. It's funny because in the sociology, like I say, you've got these sort of different types of capital, they call it. Now, I'm at this point in my life. I'm at one point when I was a younger adult, I wasn't at all. But this one, I'm what they call dripping, dripping in cultural capital, and to an extent, social capital. But the whole point of me sort of doing that, or having that in a sense, was to basically increase my economic capital. You know, the money in my pocket, so I could actually do things. You know, live a life, go but not have to struggle so much, basically, for anything, food, to feed myself, go places, visit places, just to live a normal life, really. A normal life, you know. But mostly, as a young person, socially engage with other people. Because there's lots of things I've never been able to do, which now I'm thinking about as young people now, especially poor people, young people anyway. That this is the problem with not having economic capital, especially at that age, is that the whole point is it excludes you from, and it did me certainly, excludes you from engaging in some of the important basic things that you need to do. You know, I couldn't afford to go to the pub. I couldn't, you know, my mates couldn't afford to go. I certainly couldn't afford to go. So, and I couldn't afford, and they weren't sort of like youth centres and things that I was aware of. We go to, so there was no sort of mingling with my peers, you know, which meant I didn't meet anybody my own age, any, you know, any girls my age or anything like that. So there was no sort of opportunity to sort of find my other half, as it were. You know, if I wanted to, or we wanted to get married, have children. So I don't have any children because that just never happened. You know, because I was just completely cut out from that sort of life, really. And this is one of these. This is the problem with economic exclusion, not having economic capital. You can have social, you can have cultural. Oh well, I'm trying to keep it short, but it's already half an hour. I'll try and explain those some other time. The concepts, they're quite self-explanatory, really. But it's all great. But if you haven't got the money in your pocket, especially a younger person, and particularly if you haven't got any hope, you can't see any way forward for your future and the future of your friends and your sisters and your brother. Not having money is one thing. Having no hope, and again, I've been there as a younger person and an older person. That's the real. That's the real. The killer. You know, kills people. You know, what are you supposed to do without any hope? Any hope, any sort of vision or way in your mind through what's going on. And there must be a hell of a lot of young people and older people like me and you, perhaps feeling exactly that way right now. Even I'm, you know, when I'm being ill all the time and Just seems like I'm peddling water just to sort of stay still, let alone catch up with what I need to catch up with. Yeah, it has an effect even on me, to be honest with you. And I'm pretty stupidly positive most of the time. It's not easy, and it's hard watching them go through it. And I do think to myself when I'm talking to my younger family members who have got their lives ahead of them, the next sort of 30, 40, 50 years coming up. Right now, I'm trying to think what advice can I give them to keep them optimistic and stop them from suffering from depression amongst all of this at an early age. And it's tough. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. But I'm hoping. I'm sure there's going to be a period of pain for 3, 4, 5 years. Things have got to change. We'll discuss this. My friends were discussing this with me yesterday on our sort of online meeting. Things have got to change. Things can't. Things have already had to change on the hoof anyway. Like sort of in the benefit system and how that's administered and stopping the sanctions and all this sort of stuff. As people are unfortunately thrown into it by their millions, literally onto the dole, onto the system. I don't think. I'm sure the governments will do the PR thing and try and spin it, and like there still are, nothing to see here, nothing's gonna. We're proud of our record. Johnson keeps saying, doesn't he, and Hancock and now. And exceeded expectations. We've exceeded expectations. Blah blah blah. All this sort of stuff and nonsense from Johnson, and all that. Because it's just PR, ramble, crap, basically. Because of course it's been horrific. But this is what this is what politicians, particularly these Australian politicians, tend to do. They just pretend what's happening isn't happening, and do the old ostrich head hiding in the in the dirt. So let's see what happens. But let's try and keep our young people. I don't know that we're with them. I suppose they're older generation who've maybe, in a sense, been there before, still are there in many ways. Know what it was like. Remember what it was like when you're younger. I suppose, as they say, everything changes. Yeah, everything stays the same. I'm still in the same position as I've always been, economically, opportunity-wise, slightly better maybe. Theoretically, but not really. That hasn't actually happened yet, really. Despite all my hard work. Now with the way things are going, it may not. If the economy is about to, or it is tanking, 20% shrink in the overall economy just for the last month, I think. So, that's significant. That's real depression, sort of economic depression territory. As I've been saying for weeks. But they don't seem still not really sort of explaining this to people in the mainstream media. Which is obvious why. They don't want people to know, do they? On top of everything else. So that's my ramblings for now. Again, here we come, 40 minutes. So once again, that's week 12 done and dusted. Here we go into week 12, into week 13. See. Dead brain cells, old man. The sun's going down. I was about to say I'm going down. I meant to sleep at some point, but I just realised that sounds wrong. So I won't be saying that again. I won't be going. Yeah, let's do that. So you take care. Please comment. I love reading your comments down below. If you've got time to leave one. And finding out what's going on with you and how you're doing. So if you can, please do. Also, if you can, please subscribe. If you can, share would help, because I'm trying to get a few more sort of viewers and get the channel going a bit more opinion, a bit more debate maybe. And yes, look after yourselves. I'll see you in a week's time. Do the old. Who's that? Who used to do that? I'm trying to think now. Eric Morecambe, wasn't it? Do the old. See you next week. Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. I'm sorry. I had to sing, I don't know why. Take care. See you next time.